when I was teaching, even though I loved it, there were Mondays that I was hoping all of a sudden at a snap of the finger became Fridays. And I was hoping that September would magically turn into June and my summer would start. And I think a lot of people think that way. If I can just get to the weekend, if I can just get to vacation, life would be okay. But a lot of life happens in between. And it's really in between moments that you have to breathe and take it all in, accept it, because that is life that is happening right now.
Stay connected to gratitude. Hit the follow button right now and join thousands of listeners tuning in each week. We're the Gratitude Seekers. Come join us. Hi, Gratitude Seeker. Welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Our guest today is a writer and a former award-winning high school English teacher. Despite being diagnosed with a rare neurological disease that impairs his movement, balance, eyesight, and speech, Jay presses on. He lives in the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with his wife and 3 kids and their dog, Maggie May. He makes dad jokes, keeps the house stoked with cereal, and will only accept a cordial invitation from Oprah to join her book club. We have Jay Armstrong here with us, and his amazing story and amazing personality. We talked a little bit before, and I'm really happy to have him here with us and for him to share with us his story and the gratitude that he's able to see and to experience in spite of his condition. Jay, welcome to the Gratitude Podcast.
Thank you, Georgian. So happy to be here today.
My pleasure. So let us know a little bit more about you, about some of the things that you have done in your life, and also, like you shared with me before, what you've been working on in the last 8 years.
Sure. So my name is Jay Armstrong, and I grew up right in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States. I grew up in a blue-collar town, neighborhood. Everybody went to work in the morning and came home at night and ate dinner and lived very sort of, middle-class, average life where they punch in and punch out. And I always, as a little child, I had a dream of being a writer. I wanted to tell stories. I just found that fascinating, and yet I didn't know anybody who told stories. Everybody had a job and went to work, and that was life. And so as I grew up, I thought about being a writer and telling stories for a living. And yet telling stories for a living doesn't pay the bills unless you receive a sort of a high status in storytelling, like the great writers. For example, like Stephen King, he can live off of telling stories, but most people can't. So when I was a young man, I decided that I would become a teacher because teaching paid the bills and gave me a pension. I had medical benefits, and I also wanted to get married and start a family. And I realized I couldn't do that being a writer. So I sacrificed the writing dream for a more realistic dream. And being a teacher was great. I loved it. It taught me so much about myself and how to communicate It also taught me how to be a better writer and storyteller. So I was a teacher. I taught English for almost 19 years. And then in 2013, I was diagnosed with a rare degenerative brain condition that slowly deteriorates my brain. And it was kind of the kick in the butt I needed to kind of live out my dream, the dream that never left. The writer's dream was always there, kind of gnawing at my heart and soul. But it was something that I thought was childish. And then when I was diagnosed and I got sick, I realized that now was the time to live out that dream, because nothing is guaranteed. And so in 2013, I began writing these stories, and stories are about my life, and stories are to my children, but really under it all, it's about me trying to slow down time and figure out who I am. And I think that is a crisis that you and I and everyone else is involved in. Time is relentless, and yet we need time to figure out who we are and what do we want to become. And so the book really is about just that, trying to find out who you are and trying to have the courage and audacity to live out your dream, because I think everyone has a dream, but not everyone has the courage and the audacity to live it out. So in this book, it's me living out my dream, and I'm very proud of the book and what it has become.
What a wonderful gift to the world! Someone that has the courage to live his dream. I think this is something wonderful, and it definitely teaches us a lot by example. So I'm really curious, from your perspective as a writer, how would you define gratitude?
Gratitude for me is hard work. It takes a certain grit. It really requires you to look inward first. I think, to define gratitude is introspection. It takes introspection to develop a sort of gratitude that you can give to the world, not just a gratitude for like show. I mean, you have to really want to do it. I equate gratitude to like working out, trying to develop your health, to lose weight. All those things take grit, and they take grind, and they take hard work. I went to a store the other day, and I saw on the rack a T-shirt, and right across the chest of the T-shirt it said the word gratitude, and I laughed because gratitude is not as easy as putting on a T-shirt. I think just because you put it on doesn't mean you're grateful.
Definitely.
You have to work at it. So gratitude takes a lot of grit. And if I can use my own story, when I was diagnosed, there was a moment of just, sadness and terror. And, I was, to use a three-letter word, sad. I was just really sad that I was not going to be able to live out my dreams, and life was coming to an end. But I stayed alive long enough to realize that life is all about perspective. And over the years, I became very grateful, not only for my experiences, but what I have to look forward to. And learning that learning that perspective took a lot of work. So what is gratitude? Gratitude is work.
Wow, I love that perspective. I think it's very mature and very realistic. It makes a lot of sense because we have so many challenges in life and so many things that keep us from being grateful, and so many things that stack up against us
Right.
feeling grateful. And indeed, it's something that takes grit that we need to work on to balance these things out. And I think this is very important because when we are aware of it, it's much easier for us to know that it's not something that comes really fast. It's just something that takes time, but that can have some important benefits in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of that, how do you feel your perspective on life has improved after choosing gratitude and working on gratitude?
Yeah. Before I was sick, when I was, let's say, healthy, I didn't stop to really enjoy what I have and what was unfolding in front of me. Part of the book there's a little story in the beginning about watching my children leave for school on the first day and seeing their smiles, and then watching them climb on the bus and leave, and watching the bus kind of trail away in the distance. And it's such a relatable story, simple story. In fact, on that day, there was a handful of parents doing and around the world. I mean, everybody watches, parents watch their children leave for school, and it is such a pedestrian experience, but it does teach us a lot, because for years I never witnessed that moment. I was always involved in my own life, my own work. I didn't realize the power of that moment. And so, as they were leaving, they were going off into the world, into their own lives. And for me, that was so powerful, because I realized that I need to stop. I need to slow down. I need to become more appreciative of what I have and the goals that I want to accomplish. I need time to make those things a reality. So for me, gratitude is about just really slowing things down. Unfortunately, we live in a very fast world, and we don't let time become our friend. Time is kind of our enemy. It's always passing. There's never enough time. And it's funny. When I was teaching, even though I loved it, there were Mondays that I was hoping all of a sudden, at a snap of the finger, became Fridays. And I was hoping that September would magically turn into June and my summer would start. And I think a lot of people think that way. If I can just get to the weekend, if I can just get to vacation, life would be okay. But a lot of life happens in between. And it's really in between moments that you have to breathe and take it all in, accept it, because that is life that is happening right now.
That's so true. That's so wise. Yeah, we tend to drift off until the weekend. We tend to hope that the days will pass faster somehow and we'll get to the good stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, we a lot of times we think the good stuff is out there, somewhere in the ether. We will get to the good stuff later. But there, for me at least, there was a shift in mindset that the good stuff is right now, and I just have to awaken myself to realize that.
that's so true. And yeah, that was my realization a few years ago when I discovered gratitude as well, that nothing has to change on the outside for me to be really, really grateful and really happy.
Right.
And yeah, since then I've been exploring this topic because I thought it was really fascinating, that nothing actually needed to change for me to have a different state. So I thought that was so powerful and so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's we often think that if we can get one more thing, or if we can get somewhere, that we will find gratitude. But gratitude is just a shift in mindset. It's what we focus on, that gives us gratitude. So if we focus on the negatives in our life, yeah, we're not going to be grateful. But if we focus on the good things, the little things. For example, I take my dog May for a walk every morning, and even though we go around the neighborhood and we pass the same houses every morning, I really just I really try to focus on the sky, because when we walk, it's shifting from dark to light. And I really just try to look at it and be thankful, focus on the change that is unfolding in front of me, and most days it puts me in a good mindset. So it's what we focus on that brings us that gratitude.
Exactly. Yeah. You could think, okay, I have to do this every morning. It's the same old houses, the same places that I'm seeing every day.
Yeah.
But you can also have this perspective, and it makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
And you've actually anticipated one of my questions. What are some things that you're grateful for?
So every day, I do 5 things, and those 5 things I am very, very grateful for. I'll explain those 5 things, but early on, I thought, I had to do big things. There's a lot of, you can go on the internet and you can type into Google how to be more grateful. And there's a lot of things, I thought that, I guess I was naive. I thought that I had to, like, every day, like, donate money, or every day I had to go out and find, a charity and give away canned goods or clothes. And that stuff is all great, but it's not realistic. It's kind of like, if you want to lose weight and right away you were like, I want to lose 50 pounds. And you worked out very hard in the first 2 weeks, but then you get burned out, and then you stop working out, and then that's it. And you lose that dream of dropping 50 pounds. To lose the weight, you need to work out consistently every day, and maybe you don't go hard every day, but you work out consistently. So I think gratitude is similar, that people want to be grateful all at once. Well, if I do this, these amazing things early on, I'll find gratitude. But gratitude will slip away. So, to go back, I said, the grit of gratitude. Gratitude is hard work. It's daily commitment to bettering yourself. So I try to do 5 things every day, and 5 things that I can do without going anywhere. They do take effort, but they are 5 manageable things. And they are reading. I think reading is so important to build your own creativity, but to also be grateful for other people's experiences. The grind it takes to write a book, I know that firsthand. And anytime I read, and I read every day, I'm always grateful that I read. There's never a day where I'm like, man, I wish I didn't read today. There's always, a moment every day that I read that I'm thankful that I read. Number 2 for me is writing. I write every day. Writing for me is a physical exercise, a mental exercise, but it also makes me appreciate the voice, the writing voice that I developed. So I work on that every day. The third thing is exercising. For me, I try to work body, mind, and soul every day. And unfortunately, with my illness, I can't, lift weights the way I used to. But my exercise, walking, and some light resistance training, but working my body every day and valuing my physical body is really important for gratitude. Number 4 is I always try to make my kids laugh every day. Hearing their laughter, the sound of their laughter, just makes me smile, makes me glad to be alive. And it doesn't take much to make, children laugh. My daughter is 13, and she's a teenager, and life is getting really serious. So I try to pull her away from the seriousness of it all, because I have a disease that is not going to stop, and it's going to be relentless. But I have to have a sense of humor with it. If I can't laugh at it, if I can't find little moments of humor in it, I'm going to self-destruct. So learning to find humor in life is something that helps with gratitude. And number 5 is I always hug my wife every day. It's not the same time, but just showing my physical appreciation for her is really important. And I think that helps us as a couple communicate. And she knows when I have bad days. She can tell. And so she knows that I need her, and I lean on her. Literally, figuratively, I do lean on her. So showing my appreciation to her every day is really important for me to develop that gratitude mindset that I need to have every day. So those are my 5 things that I need to do every day. And I think that everyone else listening can develop their own strategies for gratitude. And they don't have to be big things. They can be very small things that bring your life meaning.
That's so true. And I love everything that you shared. And basically you gave us a recipe for gratitude and for happiness, which is really profound, and I believe can be an inspiration for many people. I really love all of the things that you've shared, and I think each one is very powerful, and when you're able to do them all consistently, like you said, it makes a really big difference in time.
Yeah.
And it relates very well to those 5 days of the week, not just the 2 of the weekend, or the ones when we're free, when we're on holiday or something. And these things we can do each day, and this is where the power lies.
You're
And yeah,
right.
I love it. I love it. I think
Thank
it's
you.
amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Sure.
So we are nearing the end of our time together, and I wanted to ask you to share a bit more about your book, about what you've written about, and what our audience can expect from reading it.
Yeah. As I said earlier, though, the book is about dreams and having the courage to live out your dreams, but it's also about the power of stories. We all have stories that need to be told, and yet we don't often tell those stories. Maybe fear of shame or rejection. We have a hard time accepting those stories. For me, if I didn't tell these stories, I would have self-destructed a long time ago. It was a form of therapy, but the book itself is founded on a study that was done in the mid 1990s about children and stories, and the study was done in America was a 5-year study on the impact that stories and knowing a family's history has on children. And what they found out was that children who knew their own family history, they knew about the struggles that their parents went through and their grandparents, they became not only more resilient, but more grateful because they knew what they came from. They knew that their parents had endured. And so I wanted to write a book that was for my children, to help them through life if I'm not with them in the near future. I wanted them to be able to kind of like a field guide to life, you know. I might be gone, but my stories and my experiences are still there. So I want to write a book for them that they can go to help them with, their own struggles. But I also wanted to write a book for everyone about stories. And that's the one thing that we have, rich, poor. It doesn't matter who, our status. We have stories worth telling. So I really wanted to write a book that inspired people to tell their story in maybe it's just to their child at night, or maybe they decide to write a book. But bedtime stories for the living is just that. It is stories that help you tell your own story.
That's wonderful and very beautiful and very generous of you. And thank you for doing this for all of us. Where can our listeners get the book?
Sure. So the book will be available on Amazon, in bookstores, and in libraries as well.
Wonderful. So thank you very much for being here with us, for sharing your story, and for all of the amazing ideas that you shared with us. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Gratitude Seeker, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this interview. I really appreciate it. And if you could think of one person that would also benefit from it, share it with them. It might actually be the inspiration that they need to make their day or maybe even their life much better. Thank you so much once again. This has been Georgian Benta. Don't forget to keep seeking and spreading gratitude.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.